Tonight, Regina's executive committee discusses the cost of turf replacement at Mosaic Stadium, improving the memorial site honoring victims of a deadly vehicle crash, and neighbors of a new post-addictions treatment facility in Yorkton raise concerns.
Live from our studios in Regina, this is CTV News.
Good evening. When the CFL announced new field dimensions for the 2027 season, a lot of fans wondered who would pay for those transformations at Mosaic Stadium. The answer? City of Regina. Now, Jacob Carr reports it was one of two items discussed at today's executive committee that feature prominent sporting facilities.
Executive committee members voted through a couple of motions on Wednesday to be further discussed at next week's City Council meeting. The first item of the day was $8.2 million in city funding to go towards the costs associated with the replacement of the LED board systems and artificial turf at Mosaic Stadium.
Overall, these are items that had to be replaced. It's actually timely that they coincided with the CFL rule changes. There's obviously some discussion that was had around making sure that we consult with our community groups and other stakeholders that use the stadium, and that's going to happen.
Ward 3 Councillor David Froh asked City Administration for some information regarding the type of turf that would be going in to accommodate other users of the field besides the riders. City Admin says they have hired a turf consultant to decide whether the turf will be stitched or painted or a combo of both. They said making sure the stadium remains usable for the whole community is top of mind. The next sports recommendation that was passed unanimously was a lease agreement between the city and the Regina Red Sox for Curry Field.
Some of the comments I've heard from the people who are patrons at Curry Field over the years are sometimes less than positive experiences in the past. So to have this being invested in, brought up, and ready for great use and to be proud of our community, I think is great.
The deal, according to Mayor Baczynski, hands over responsibilities for the maintenance of the field from the city to the Red Sox, who are owned by Sean Semple.
The way that the agreement's set out, it's mainly on to the Red Sox, with the city recognizing, through that grant, in lieu of us not doing that work anymore, the work that needs to be done to kind of upkeep that facility, and that ends up being a revenue neutral for the city.
Both items will face one final vote at next Wednesday's City Council meeting. Jacob Carr, CTV News, Regina.
With the City of Regina's recent approval of Brandt purchasing several properties at the Real District, construction and repairs for certain buildings are on the horizon. But as Sierra de Souza Butts tells us, some groups who use the facilities, including Canadian Western Agribition, are concerned the work may impact their event.
The first sign of Brandt's takeover of Regina's Real District as renovations to the YQR liquor are in store.
We started out with very few facilities, so construction isn't new to us.
The repairs come after the City of Regina's recent approval of Brandt purchasing several properties at Real. As the first phase is set to begin in July with the Ag X buildings, Canadian Western Agribition says it's actively working with Brandt to ensure any impacts to this year's Agribition are minimal.
I'm fortunate enough to have conversations directly with Sean Semple with Brandt, so we do talk quite frequently. We talked yesterday, so again, he's aware of the risks that we have, and it's something that we're monitoring.
Adding, Agribition brings in ranchers from around the world and has grown into a week-long event compared to when it first started 55 years ago.
We were pretty clear at council. We need to make sure that, our costings protected, our footprints protected, as well as, our dates. Agribition doesn't happen in August, so we are in fluent conversations with Brandt today on what a new agreement looks like and, making sure that Agribition is protected.
The $6.5 million deal will also see the purchase of the Canada Centre building, Commercial Cattle Barn, Queensbury Convention Centre, Stockman's Building, and the Brandt Centre. The City of Regina saying the infrastructure investment will benefit the city for decades to come.
I would say what it does is it accelerates our opportunities for further economic opportunity for the city, and ensures that those buildings are able to be used well into the future, and that we don't let them degrade any further.
As officials work through the logistics for the Real District's new ownership, planning is still underway for this year's Canadian Western Agribition taking place in November. Sierra de Souza Butts, CTV News, Regina.
Well, 46 years ago, one of Canada's deadliest motor vehicle disasters took place in southwestern Saskatchewan, claiming 22 lives of people from across the country who were working there for the Canadian Pacific Railway. Now at the memorial, there is a little extra history available on site. Damien Smith was at the unveiling and has the details.
As trains and vehicles pass by, a monument stands beside the Trans-Canada Highway west of Swift Current. A plaque bears the names of 22 men killed in one of the deadliest crashes in Canadian history. Brent Kammer was in the first fire truck to arrive on scene.
When I was in Webb, you could see the smoke half a mile in the air. You knew that it was bad. So when we got here, everybody just went to work. All of the community came.
On May 28, 1980, a Canadian Pacific Railway crew known as the Prairie Region Steel Gang was riding in a school bus when it crashed just outside of Webb, Saskatchewan. It left 22 dead and another 8 injured.
We all fought the fire and finally got it out and realized that there was a terrific amount of death in this and everything. But thank God there were some people that lived through it.
One of those survivors is Daryl Flamond. He was 18 at the time of the crash. 46 years later, he was among a crowd on hand to dedicate a new plaque at the crash site.
It changed my life, put it that way. And I'm here today at this memorial site as part of my personal closure. It's a little emotional, obviously, because I lost a lot of friends and relatives.
The new plaque providing more of the history of what happened here.
Having this piece here, I do believe that people are going to come here, stop, understand the story better, and share the story at the next stop.
The Steel Gang's members coming from all over Canada, their memories forever held by Flamond and the other survivors.
I'm just grateful that I was able to survive and able to live this long, because many people don't have the chance because of accidents or alcohol abuse. And I ended up surviving both of those things.
Of the 22 lives lost, 12 of them were from Newfoundland, 9 from Manitoba, and 1 from Ontario. Damien Smith, CTV News, just outside of Webb.
Sabine joins us for a look at weather, and it was kind of a partly cloudy, then rainy, partly sunny, just a mix of things today.
Yeah, and we're going to see a little bit of the same type of weather heading into tomorrow, Lee. But the good news is no watches, no warnings issued for Saskatchewan today. We're not going to see, tomorrow even, we may not really see much in terms of active weather storm-wise, but we could still see some scattered precipitation, similar to what we saw today on the radar satellite. Again, Regina woke up with some rain first thing in the morning, saw that rain overnight, saw a little bit of scattered precipitation throughout the day, and the winds were gusting up to about 50 kilometers an hour at times late this afternoon. Didn't quite get into that seasonal range temperature-wise. Even right now, very cool in Rockland, sitting at 6 degrees. We're seeing many of those temperatures in the mid to high teens right now. The average is, of course, about 23 degrees. We reached 19 late this afternoon. Similar temperatures expected tomorrow, but the warm-up will return heading into Saturday, and I'll have details in your full forecast. Lee?
Thank you, Sabine. Fire crews in Saskatoon asking the province for additional resources as they struggle to keep up with an increase in overdoses. Hallie Mandrick has the details.
The union representing Saskatoon firefighters is calling for more support as fire crews continue to see a significant number of overdoses.
The comment that we get a lot is, why are we going to the same person over and over? Where are those wraparound supports? And again, that's where we're asking the province to help us out and step in with that. That's the biggest question that we're getting.
Protz told media that while Saskatoon fire crews are trained to respond to overdoses, firefighters often handle tasks that should be delegated to other organizations.
We didn't sign up for that part of the job. We signed up to be firefighters. We signed up to help with cardiac arrests, car accidents, those sorts of things. Social work is not our realm of expertise, and yet here we are providing some of that.
According to the City of Saskatoon, there have been almost 1,800 overdose calls between the beginning of the year and June 5th. In a statement to CTV News, the province acknowledged that overdoses continue to be a serious issue across North America, adding, quote, "The government of Saskatchewan is focused on getting more people the addictions treatment they need to overcome their addictions and live healthy, safe lives in recovery. Reducing wait times for addiction services continues to be a priority for the Ministry of Health." Protz says the Saskatoon Fire Department is struggling to keep up with calls that require more support from other organizations.
When they just walk away after we've given them naloxone, trying to track that person down, try and give them the resources needed, that's probably not up to us.
Hallie Mandrick, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Well, it's becoming a common complaint when it comes to new projects. There wasn't enough consultation. In Yorkton, some residents are raising those concerns with a new post-addictions treatment facility that's opening up in their neighborhood. Regina explains.
Residents say they have questions about a new post-treatment center that could come to Yorkton.
Since we put out a request for proposals, and Poundmaker Lodge applied for one of those, and they have been granted 11 post-treatment spaces for the Yorkton community.
The minister says these kind of spaces involve community consultation, but some Yorkton residents, like Georgia Andres, says that hasn't happened so far, despite the purchase of 2 properties.
No one has been notified, so it's just, it'd be nice to have some notice, awareness. The city also, when I called, they had no idea about it, so we brought our Crescent brought awareness to the city about it.
Andres found out about the project after spotting a black pickup with a Poundmaker's Lodge Treatment Center logo parked on the driveway of a recently sold residential property in her neighborhood. She and others in the surrounding area say they're concerned about safety.
I don't believe a big business like Poundmaker Lodge would even purchase a facility like this without any idea, any applications, any notice to the city that this is what they are doing.
We knew vaguely about it. We had no written communication, just some few kind of, informal conversations.
Ager added, so far no permits have been issued and proposed use wouldn't work with the current zoning.
So that would mean that zoning changes would be required to accommodate any of the use. And that process goes through a public process through council for decision making.
In a statement to CTV News, Poundmaker's Lodge emphasized it's not providing a mobile withdrawal program, instead offering a recovery home and supportive housing that helps people transition from treatment to independent living. Admission to their recovery homes requires prospective residents to complete an application and pass an interview process. They are also required to address any outstanding legal matters or acute health concerns prior to placement, adding that through the Good Neighbor approach, residents are encouraged to contribute positively to their neighborhoods. Poundmaker says it's committed to following all official process in partnership with the province and the Saskatchewan Health Authority. Residents hope that will include public consultation. Regina CTV News, Yorkton.
Saskatchewan's health minister has written a letter to the federal government on medical assistance in dying. In the letter, Jeremy Cockrell says the Saskatchewan government strongly opposes the expansion of MAID for people with mental health conditions as the sole factor. A federal committee report did recommend that they put a pause on that expansion today. Canada's Justice Minister and Attorney General Sean Fraser told reporters he'll take time to review the committee's findings over the summer, but is not ruling out any policy decisions. It's a big day for Saskatchewan hunters with the results of the big game draw being posted. Hunters who applied can log into their hunting, angling, and trapping license or HAL account to check for draw results and pool status. Pronghorn results will be posted in mid-July. Successful applicants will be able to buy licenses after August the 1st. Canada's Transportation Safety Board releases its review of the Titan submersible disaster. And Yorkton Melville MP Kathy Ragenthal is leaving politics later this year. Well, a harsh report into the Titan submersible disaster. Canada's Transportation Safety Board has slammed the lack of regulatory oversight. The craft imploded 3 years ago near the wreck of the Titanic, killing 7 people. Garrett Berry has the details.
One of the things we've learned today is just how much correspondence there was between OceanGate officials and various government agencies. Some correspondence went back for years, but despite all of that contact, key information did not make its way to regulators at Transport Canada.
In July 2021, during one of many missions of the Titan submersible that began in Canada, a DFO representative boarded the cargo vessel Horizon Arctic to observe the mission. That representative wrote back to others at DFO with serious concerns. The Titan sub was never certified by a regulatory body. It used a rare carbon fiber construction, and OceanGate had no insurance.
We have no evidence that those concerns were provided to Transport Canada.
They were raised internally within the Department of Fisheries and Oceans.
One of many communication breakdowns highlighted by the Transportation Safety Board in a report released today.
These governments all had sort of pieces of the puzzle about the Titans operation, but nobody managed to connect all of these pieces together and be able to essentially identify the nature of that operation and the risks that it presented.
The report also highlights testing and construction failures that contributed to the disaster. Worldwide attention came to St. John's when cargo ship Polar Prince lost contact with the Titan in June 2023. But for its top headline, TSB wrote that OceanGate received almost no oversight, despite a series of dives and tests working with Canadian vessels over the course of 2 years.
The TSB makes it clear that this isn't a totally unique situation. There are lots of small commercial vessels across the country that do not see oversight by Transport Canada. The board wants authorities at Transport Canada to start making a new policy that would capture some of those small but risky vessels. Garrett Berry, CTV News, St. John's.
Yorkton Melville's longtime Conservative Member of Parliament will be stepping away this summer rather than holding the seat until the next federal election. Kathy Wagenthal said that despite her original plan to continue representing the riding until another election, she'll now take her leave as of August the 31st. She says she's been blessed to represent the riding where she's held office for more than a decade, first elected in 2015. The area's Conservative nominating committee recently selected Nelson Pohl as the riding's Tory candidate for the eventual next federal election. Prime Minister Mark Carney coming back from the G7 summit without having an official one-on-one with U.S. President Donald Trump. He is giving insight, though, into his interactions with the president and his reaction to the tentative peace deal between the United States and Iran. Mike Lecouture is at the summit and has the latest.
Why are you leaving the G7 early for Washington?
Well, I have to be back. Very important. I want to just thank our great host.
Prime Minister Mark Carney explaining the hot mic moment captured at yesterday's G7 summit, confirming he was explaining the details to President Donald Trump about Canada's deal to allow Chinese EVs into the country.
And he likes the structure, actually. We had a follow-up conversation about it as well.
I don't know that I said I like it, but I could understand that, yeah.
Is that a factor?
Cap? Would I rather see a cap than no cap? Yeah, I would. On Canada.
Carney says the two leaders had several conversations, but none of them included the CUSMA renewal.
I would rather not have the agreement, but I may sign it. Right. But we do better as a country if we don't have an agreement.
So are you thinking of...
Yeah, I'm thinking about maybe we won't be able to make a deal. I would rather not have the USMCA.
One of the bigger discussions at the G7 was the Iran deal. In a joint statement, leaders agreed there is a need to diversify trade routes to prevent choke points for energy supply chains, as we saw with the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. The statement also says, quote, "We welcome the potential for Canada to deliver significant additional capacity to global markets in the coming years." Carney says there are a number of projects and plans, both online and in the works.
There's other European offtakes in the work for Canadian LNG, and then as well, expansion of TMX, the oil pipeline.
Back in Ottawa, Conservatives had this reaction to that proposal.
This is evolving a little bit. It needs to evolve a lot faster than it has. It's a great resource we have in Canada. The whole world knows it's a great resource. It's been constrained by bad government policy.
Carney also described the Iran deal as a game changer, as he feels Trump's view of the war in Ukraine is shifting.
Change in orientation, a more realistic, in our view, expectation of where this war was going to go, and the position against Russia, the tightening of sanctions against Russia, the ability to provide additional defensive support for Ukraine.
The G7 leaders also agreed to consider giving Ukraine the critical licenses to increase domestic military production for things like missiles. It's something that President Volodymyr Zelensky has been asking for since last year. Mike Lecouture, CTV News, Evian, France.
An RCMP officer has been charged for making threatening comments towards President Trump last year. It's alleged that Evanson Demerlis made the comments in a Snapchat video while he was doing security for the 2025 G7 summit in Alberta. RCMP say another officer reported the video, and Demerlis was removed from his duties the same day. He is charged with uttering threats. A fast-moving wildfire in the West Kelowna region of BC is now being held with no property damage reported. More than 800 people were forced to leave their homes, but now the evacuation order is just an alert.
We could see leaping flames.
So I had about a dozen missed calls from my wife, and she told me to rush home quickly because the park was on fire below us.
The fire broke out yesterday, spreading quickly with smoke blanketing trees along Okanagan Lake and threatening homes. It grew to about 8 hectares as crews fought the flames from the ground and the air. Evacuees were sent to a nearby community center, but within hours the fire was declared held and many were allowed back home. The fire is being treated as suspicious.
Your Morning Saskatchewan. It's the latest edition of X's and O's. With the injury bug hitting the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Wes Cates shares what the team needs to do as they head to Calgary this weekend.
All right, welcome back. Let's take a look at what your forecast is looking like heading into the last half of this week and into the weekend. We still have rain in the forecast. Today we saw a little bit of it in the Regina. Actually, much of southern Saskatchewan saw some scattered showers. 18 degrees right now, winds at about 25 kilometers an hour, gusting a little higher into the 30s. And for most of the day, we did have those winds gusting up to about 35, close to 50 kilometers an hour. Now, we shouldn't see strong wind gusts heading into tomorrow, but we could see some more scattered showers in parts of southern Saskatchewan. So this is what the radar satellite was showing us for the last few hours. We saw some rain coming through the Saskatoon area. Earlier in the day, we saw it coming through the Regina area, but the southwest, no watches or warnings issued for Saskatchewan today when it comes to storm activity. We could see some smaller storm cells coming through parts of the south tomorrow, and I'll show you where we can expect them. But in terms of this evening, we'll continue to see just pockets of rain continuing throughout this evening. And then we will start to see more cloud cover rolling into the overnight. And then more of that rain first thing in the morning in areas around, just around the Saskatoon area. Swift Current could see some showers, Maple Creek as well. But as we continue throughout the day, that's where we start to see more of that rain arriving late tomorrow afternoon. So Saskatoon expecting some rain. Slight chance just to the west of Regina. We could see possibly a risk of thunderstorm coming through that area. Assiniboia could also see a risk of thunderstorm. Now, for many parts of southern Saskatchewan, because of the way these systems are moving, we could see a low risk of thunderstorms, so perhaps some more watches could go into effect. But as you can see on the maps right now, a large portion of this is all just scattered rain that we're expecting to see throughout most of tomorrow into the overnight for Friday. But you can see by Friday morning, most of that precipitation clearing out. For much of the day, expecting mainly sunny conditions, and that'll continue as we head into Saturday as well. Enjoy Saturday because it looks like it's going to be a very rainy Sunday for many parts of Saskatchewan. In terms of rainfall totals between now and to Thursday morning, up to about 3 millimeters expected for Moose Jaw. Swift Current up to 1, 4 for Kindersley, Saskatoon, Regina seeing trace amounts, but it's not until we get into Friday, so Thursday into Fridays where we see a little bit more of that rain. Over 15 millimeters expected for Moose Jaw, close to 15 for Kindersley, 5 for Swift Current, just over 5 for Assiniboia, close to 5 for Estevan, and over 10 expected for Yorkton. Throughout Friday into Saturday, we could see another millimeter or so added on, but you can see by Saturday noon, Regina could see up to 5 millimeters of rain, Saskatoon just over 5. So many parts of the province still expecting to see rain, but it's going to be more so in the form of scattered precipitation over the next day or so. Not some big system that's coming through with heavy rainfall. That will be Sunday, and you'll see that on your 7-day forecast. Temperatures tomorrow, still expecting daytime highs to be cooler than seasonal, mid to high teens for many parts of the province, including L'Orange and La Loche, 16 degrees, 18 and cloudy for Prince Albert, Saskatoon 19 with a risk of thunderstorm, 18 for Yorkton and a mix of sun and cloud, and the southwest again mid to high teens, little risk of thunder showers, mostly just seeing that precipitation coming through. Same story for the southeast, 20 for Estevan, so close into that seasonal range, 19 for Weyburn, for Regina as well, 19, mostly cloudy with some scattered rain in the late afternoon. And in terms of what's to come, we'll see a warmer weekend ahead. So Friday, mainly sunny, 19 degrees as well. Saturday, 22, mainly sunny. Could see some precipitation Saturday night. By Sunday, expecting up to about 15 millimeters of rain. Windy as well. Winds gusting up to 50 kilometers an hour. 16 is the expected high. So a cooler day on Sunday. Monday, could see another 1 to 3 millimeters of rain throughout the day. 18 is the expected high. And then finally, we get back into more sunshine and more of those seasonal-like temperatures. By Tuesday, 22, mainly sunny, and on Wednesday, a mix of sun and cloud, 21 degrees. So we'll still see the seasonal temperatures a little cooler over the next couple of days, and that Sunday is the day. Maybe don't make any plans for Sunday if you were planning on spending some time outdoors this weekend.
Fantastic Father's Day to not do anything.
You can stay in and watch World Cup.
Watch some football, soccer, whatever you want to call it. Sport. Thanks, Sabine.
You bet.
Well, users of Regina's largest community garden are facing eviction after 40 years on the University of Regina campus. The university is looking for ways to raise additional revenue and is making the area available for commercial development. Wayne Mantica has more.
Dale Jurdis has spent the past 2 decades growing vegetables at a community garden on the south end of the University of Regina campus. He's one of over 400 gardeners who have received notice that they may have to leave as early as late summer.
The university's been kind enough to allow us to use this land for the last 40 years at no cost. So we're grateful to them, but it's always been part of our agreement that if they ever needed the land, we would move.
The University of Regina is currently in negotiations for a commercial and residential development on the large parcel of land. In a written statement, it said the University of Regina is exploring the opportunity to develop its land holdings. This approach is part of a broader strategy to diversify revenue streams. It comes as the campus faces financial pressures from a 59% drop in foreign student enrollment. The gardeners understand the university's situation.
And 40 years of gardening at no cost, having the land is quite a contribution. So I would be happier if we stayed on longer, but what's happening is happening, and so we're seeking to find a place to continue gardening.
It's the second time in a decade that the university has made land available for commercial development within Wascana Centre. Earlier, it raised $8.25 million through the lease of College Avenue campus property for development of a credit union office building. Any project proposal will require approval from the Provincial Capital Commission. Meanwhile, the gardeners are working with the province to secure other vacant property in the area. Wayne Mantica, CTV News, Regina.
Still ahead, good things come to those who wait. Just ask the Riders' starting strong side linebacker Antoine Brooks Jr.
Here's what's happening in our community. Jazz Fest Regina 2026 will be happening June 18th to the 22nd, featuring international and Canadian jazz artists. For more information, visit jazzfestregina.ca. Drop Zone will be happening on August 22nd. Defy gravity, register to be a participant, and help raise funds to support Easter Seals Saskatchewan. Spots are limited. Register now at dropzoneyqr.ca. Submit your event to our community by visiting our website, ctvregina.ca, and click Community Calendar or scan the QR code on your screen.
Already without Roland Milligan Jr., the Riders secondary could be missing Nelson Lacombo as well. He'll be a game-time decision Saturday versus Calgary. But the Riders are confident players can step up like Antoine Brooks Jr. did at the strong side linebacker spot. Donovan Mays has more on his journey.
It's been a long road for Antoine Brooks Jr. to earn a starting spot on the Saskatchewan Roughriders defense.
It was kind of good to be a practice squad and you just focus on yourself and then, focus on your playbook all at once. And then the year after that, we can start to talk about stepping up and stuff like that. And then now we're here.
Getting an opportunity right out of the gate to start this year.
Handing off to Butler, coming in behind the line.
Brooks making no mistake, registering 13 tackles against the BC Lions.
It meant a lot. You know, I didn't really know what I did in the game because I was just, you know, playing hard, you know. So at the end of the game, it did feel a little relief.
The performance is the culmination of years of work behind the scenes.
And good work defensively. Antoine Brooks, the nickel linebacker.
Now in his third year in Saskatchewan, Brooks spending the vast majority of 2024 on the practice roster before getting an opportunity on special teams for much of the first half of last season and then elevated to a larger role on defense throughout the year. After key names left this past offseason, Brooks is stepping up to fill the hole.
Just a marathon. It's never a sprint in football, so and that's how I call it, and that's what I tell kids back at home. It's never a marathon, a sprint, so, you know, just take your time.
Never losing the confidence of his coaching staff, who are now rewarding his patience.
To his credit, he waited patiently, and it's not easy. You know, there's a few guys throughout this league who had to wait a year, maybe 2 years before they got an opportunity, but they saw it through.
I just take it as like next man up, always stay ready, you know, and I'll try to lead that as an example.
After his standout Week 2 performance, Brooks could be heavily relied upon again this week as Saskatchewan takes on another dual-threat quarterback in Vernon Adams Jr. and the Calgary Stampeders. Donovan May, CTV News, Regina.
And the team announcing the signing of two Canadians, defensive back Jonathan Edouard and long snapper Mike Benson. Edouard appeared to be an added body should Milligan and Lacombo both miss extended time, while Benson coming in with the possibility that long snapper Aaron Crawford could be out this week.
Yeah, the Mike Benson around the world trip is almost complete. I had a few guys ask you, where were you before this? And I'm like, well, it's easier to tell you where I haven't been. My family and friends would probably say that, but for me, being a professional and, you know, I got a lot of friends on the team already, it doesn't really matter what colors you wear. You're here for all the same goal, right? We all want to win.
From 2021 to 2023, Benson was a member of the Bombers team, which made 3 straight Grey Cup appearances. He won one in 2021. And welcome to another edition of X's and O's with Wes Cates. Riders once again coming off a season-opening victory against the BC Lions that showed a lot of promise, and they're facing the Calgary Stampeders this Saturday. So, Wes, what's your confidence level, especially on this offense? You said going to the BC game you wanted to see them throw the ball, and man, did they throw the ball. Harris above 80% completion percentage again, and Emelis was just 9 yards away from 100 yards. They would have had 3 receivers in 100 yards range.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to see Trevor Harris get off to a good start and, you know, just kind of throw it around the yard a bit and see how the passing game was going to come together. I just didn't want them to get off to a slow start, and they surely didn't. But BC's a good team. They got back into it. Nathan Rourke's a heck of a player. He threw for 350 almost, rushed for another 60. But Trevor with that 400 was amazing. I think this week, though, is just going to be all about, it's more of a mental battle. You go in there, this offense was the only team they couldn't beat, they couldn't handle last year was Calgary. And here we go going into Calgary against pretty much an offense is going to look the same, and a Calgary defense is going to look pretty similar. So the question is going to be, how is the Riders offense going to be able to handle that situation? I know they're going to have some confidence based on all the studs we have on that offense, but at the same time, this was the only team they couldn't get over the hump on, Lee, so it's going to be interesting. It should be interesting to see how it plays out early, and hopefully they can get the offense going quick again as they did this past week with BC.
Now, Mark Mueller, the offensive coordinator for the Riders, he came from the Calgary Stampeders. He was on the coaching staff there. Corey Mace, while he came from Toronto, he was with Calgary first in his coaching career. So they're kind of from the Dave Dickinson tree. So how much of that as a connection does that maybe make impact in this game? Do you think Dave has a little idea of kind of how both like to operate?
Oh, yeah. I mean, definitely when you know that you've kind of brought a guy, it's kind of like, it's like, can you beat the sensei, or does the sensei still have some tricks in his bag that he didn't show you? And I think that's a little bit of what you're going to see. I think if you kind of tutored a guy and he came up under you, you always think that, the teacher is going to always beat the student. But obviously this Riders defense is going to have something to say about that as well. So I think Mark Mueller obviously is going to have some things that he knows how to do, but I think Dave's going to understand that and maybe give some tricks to the Calgary defense, the defensive coordinator, to handle that. But it's going to be how both defenses kind of play against these high-powered offenses.
Yeah, Roland Milligan Jr. is going to be out of the lineup, but I'm not too worried. Juju Hughes looked pretty good in the preseason, so I think he'll be able to handle that halfback spot. But pressuring, same story with Vernon Adams Jr. He's a mobile quarterback, just keeping that pressure on him, making sure he's not getting out of the pocket.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's tough, and this is a running quarterback league for the most part. You either got to get rid of it quick or be able to extend play. So I think that's going to be a big part of it. Obviously, we had a couple of sacks out of the Riders' defensive line, and definitely had some big play. We've seen Antoine Brooks Jr. get, 13 tackles. He was all over the place. So this team is looking pretty good. The defense is looking good early in the season, but it's a tall task when you have a quarterback that can move out the pocket and extend play. So we'll see if they can't get some pressure and get him down before he can scramble and use his legs.
Yeah, you mentioned Calgary swept the season series last year against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. So can the Riders stop that skid? We'll find out on another edition of X's and O's.
X's and O's, brought to you by Campion College at the University of Regina.
Well, today was the final day for teams to play their first game at the World Cup. And if you like goals, then England-Croatia was right up your alley.
Rice takes. It's met with the authority of King Kane.
Okay, King Kane, calm down. Harry Kane, a pair of goals in the first half, but Croatia answered with a pair of their own to make it 2-2 at the half. In the second, Jude Bellingham and Marcus Rashford would put England ahead for good. They jumped to the top of Group L with a 4-2 victory. Also today, Democratic Republic of Congo, they shocked Portugal. A little bit of a weird scores here, but they shocked Portugal by a score of 1-1. Ghana currently on the field against Panama. Now, Canada's next game at the World Cup is tomorrow in Vancouver versus Qatar. Both teams looking to build off of earning a point in their openers. Game time is 4 o'clock Saskatchewan time. You can watch it here on CTV, which means there will be no 5 o'clock news on Thursday. And the 6 o'clock news will be a half-hour show starting at 6:30.
Still ahead, checking in on spring convocation at the U of R.
Welcome back. Let's take a look at your rural forecast for tomorrow. Pretty much a lot of the same that we've already been talking about. Temperatures not really getting into that seasonal range, staying in the mid to high teens. A low risk for thunderstorms for many parts of the province tomorrow. Cloudier conditions, but also expecting to see some scattered showers. 16 degrees for Meadow Lake and Spiritwood, expecting the rain there. 17 for Outlook, 19 for Watrous with a low risk of thunderstorm, 19 and cloudy for Melfort, 18 in rain for Hudson Bay, 18 and mostly cloudy for Wynyard, 15 and a risk of thunderstorm for Kindersley, and 14 and showers for Lloydminster. Close to the southern border, much of the same. Cloudy conditions, mostly cloudy, I should say, for Lumsden, Pilot Butte, 19 degrees there. 17 and a low risk of thunderstorm for Assiniboia, Maple Creek, and Leader. Rosetown seeing 17 and scattered showers, 18 for pretty much all of the east. Kenora, Broadview, Carlisle seeing 18 as the expected high. East End Cypress 15, and a closer look at Merrifield, where internet speeds up to 1 gig are available through SaskTel. 19 degrees tomorrow, mostly sunny, but there is a low risk of a thunderstorm in the afternoon, and by the evening cooling down to about 10 degrees.
In downtown Regina today to recognize World Refugee Day. Regina Open Door Society. The event included music, spoken word, and more from cultures around the world who have been impacted by conflict. Organizers say it's a chance to recognize the strength, resilience, and contributions of refugees.
We can always be, that welcoming community that makes people feel at home and makes people feel like this is where they want to stay, and be the friend or neighbor or classmate that they would want to see themselves if they move somewhere else.
Now, Saturday is the official World Refugee Day, which is recognized by the United Nations. Now, this is a big week at the University of Regina as students celebrate spring convocation. More than 2,400 students will graduate during 4 ceremonies. The first one today, Solomon G. Sanderson and Elise Sanderson were awarded honorary doctorate of law degrees to recognize their work in Indigenous community leadership.
They bring, I hope, empathy, compassion, the commitment to learn from each other, and to realize that in a world where people feel often more loneliness and greater interaction with their phones, that human interaction and understanding and connection is more important today, perhaps, than it's been in recent times.
2 more ceremonies will take place tomorrow. The last one is scheduled for Friday. Farm Market Board canola street price down $10.20 today to $694.15 per ton, past that 700 mark. Futures price also down big, almost down $10 to $739 per ton. Amber durum wheats, $285.20 per ton. Red Spring wheat's up $3.51 after a good climb yesterday. It's $288.68 per ton. Feed barley, $257.21 per ton. Flax is $630.54 per ton. Those prices courtesy of Bunge and Ice Futures Canada. The stock markets both on the way down. The TSX dropped by 264 points. The Dow Jones by 507 points. The Canadian dollar went down 0.6 cents to 70.84 cents US. On the commodity front, gold down $74.28. West Texas Intermediate crude is down 4 cents, while Western Canadian Select crude is down $5.09. It's dropped to $62 a barrel. No movement yet, but those prices keep on going down. We will see movement. It's currently $1.65.9 per liter in Regina.
It's the 4th time they've held the rate. It stays at 3.5 to 3.75%. It's the first announcement under their new chair, Kevin Warsh. The committee is split on what's to come, with 9 officials pointing to at least 1 quarter-point hike this year, and another 9 expecting no move or even a cut. Shares of MDA Space gained close to 4% today. The Canadian company makes low-orbit satellites. Shares had been hit on Friday after that massive SpaceX IPO. Elon Musk's company also makes those satellites. SpaceX stock is down today about 5% to $191 US, but it's still well above the IPO price of $135 US. A BC mining company has hired former U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem. Nova Red Mining says she will support its mission to use AI to help find critical mineral opportunities. Noem served as secretary for about a year before coming under fire for aggressive immigration crackdowns. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marilla Fernandez.
How many?
2. Oh.
No. There will be 3 big bangs tonight, followed by the Rainmaker at 8. The rebuild inside the Montreal Canadiens. Calm down, Alex. Landry. Director may be getting exciting about that. All right, Regina came out in droves today for the first day of the Cole Davenport big book sale. It's not his, but he likes it.
In his heart, it is. He would love to take care of this. Here's a look at the line outside the Highland Curling Club as readers flock to stock up on summer reads and more. Each book purchased helps support affordable education programs for seniors. The big book sale runs through into Saturday?
Yeah, and that was an impressive line.
Well, I mean, if I could have been there, I would have been there. I think Brenna might have been too. We all would have been there.
Yes, we all would have been there.
Right. Auditions are open for Telemiracle 51.
Now, the process to audition for the show is online only this year. Video applications can be submitted through the Telemiracle website, where you can send an application and video. Auditions close September 30th. And, of course, Telemiracle 51 runs February 27th and 28th in Saskatoon next year. Okay, so a reminder, we only have a 30-minute newscast tomorrow at 6:30. No news at 6 or 5. Because CTV is showing Canada's second game at the World Cup versus Qatar. A game kicks off at around 4 o'clock Sask time, followed by a post-game show at 6. Win by Canada would put them in good position to make the knockout round. So, 6:30, join us and watch some soccer beforehand. Sport.